Do you experience perfectionism, this strong need to have things in your life or your career appear absolutely perfect? So in today's video, I want to explain that there are a couple of different forms of perfectionism and what you can do if you find that this need for getting things perfect is really stopping you from making progress in your life and in your creative career. Brené Brown talks about perfectionism as being a shield, and I find that a really useful analogy to think about when it comes to perfectionism, because it's something that we're hiding behind. And as long as we continue to hide behind this shield, we don't get seen. Now, jumping off that, Liz Gilbert also has a nice way of describing perfectionism. She talks about it as being fear dressed up in a mink coat and wearing high heels. So again, there's a disguise. There's a sense of the fear is not this mink coat and high heels. The fear is something else, but it's hiding behind a veneer. And so this is the first kind of perfectionism where we're really afraid of what's going on externally. We might be afraid of what people might think if we make a mistake, or we might have a sense that we need to appear in a certain way in order to be accepted. So our focus is on the external. And what happens in this situation is we're so focused on how we come across that we do put these shields over ourselves. We do wear things that give an impression beyond that which we are. And so what this simply does is it reinforces what I might refer to as the wound, which is lying beneath, where that fear might exist or where that sense of inadequacy might exist. And so we're simply continuing to make it worse. Even though there's a sense of if I can just get it perfect, then everything's going to be okay. Then I'm going to be able to put my work out there, or then I'm going to be able to invite people around to my home because it's going to look perfect. But there's no way out of this cycle because we're hiding behind that shield. And if we're hiding behind that shield, we're not going to want to come out and be seen. Or if we're wearing this fur coat and heels to disguise the fact that we're afraid, there isn't going to be a point at which we go, ta-da, I'm showing myself now. So I'm going to explain the second kind of perfectionism, and then I'm going to start to walk you through what you can do if you have gotten into a habit of putting up these shields or putting things onto yourself to cover up who you might really be beneath. So the second form of perfectionism is much more internal. There's a very critical voice that's saying, that's not good enough, it can be better. And so it's always asking for more. And so you're striving to do one more draft of your novel. You're striving to make your video that much better. And the work never ends. And this voice is both an inner critic, but it's also a keeper. Like it's got you in a jail and it's your keeper, it's your guard, you're basically hostage to this inner critic. And so again, there's a collaboration, there's a sense of, if I can just make it slightly better, then that voice will be appeased and that voice will finally be happy with the work that I've produced. But like in that first example, there isn't a way out of this cycle. And so you're continually redrafting, you're continually redoing the way that you look, you're continually tidying your home, striving for that moment that inner voice says, finally, you're absolutely wonderful, you're all of the standards that I love, fantastic, you're good to go. So it's really important to understand that the way out of perfectionism isn't to be perfect. The way out of perfectionism is to allow yourself to be seen as you truly are. Now, it isn't simply a case of like, okay, well, I'll drop the shield, or okay, I'm going to stop listening to that voice, because if it was that easy, we would have done it already. The first step is to be self-aware. It's to understand which version of perfectionism you've got caught up in. Is it because of an external, i.e., are you concerned about what others will think? So you're behind that shield, not wanting to be seen? Or is it more of an internal? Have you got an inner critic that has standards that it's keeping, that it's forcing you to try to live to, and yet those standards are standards that you can't reach? Now, it's not to say it's either one or the other, but one may be slightly stronger than the other. It may also be that you've got both, and maybe even almost like a 50-50. And it's fine whether you've got one or you've got a combination of the both, just to become aware, like, oh, that's my external perfectionism. Oh, that's my internal perfectionism. So the next step is to understand that this perfectionism is a form of protection. It's a form of a shield. And so then we start to come into very gentle inquiry. What is it that you don't want to be seen? A messy house? A shitty first draft? An idea that may not be good enough? So when you start to understand exactly what it is that you are nervous of being seen, then you can start to take very gentle steps to practice being seen in that way. Now, if the internal criticism is your brand of perfectionism, what needs to happen here is that you need to practice that internal brand of criticism, seeing you sharing, being open in a way that's safe, and seeing that it's okay. Because that internal brand of perfectionism is trying to keep you safe. It's basically saying, don't submit that work because I don't want it to get rejected. So you start to make very gentle steps to putting your work out there, but in a very safe environment. So it doesn't do to suddenly be like, oh, screw this internal voice of perfectionism. I'm going to submit my novel to 10 agents. Because that's a really extreme step to take. So you start to think about some safe people that you can be seen in front of. So whatever it is, whether it is a creative project, whether it's something more to do with your life, it might be that you want to start dressing in a different way. It might be that you want to start wearing makeup differently or not wearing makeup, or it may be a creative project. But you find a small group of people to start testing and being seen in the way that you want to be seen. You can even give them a heads up. You can say, listen, I'm working with my inner perfectionist. I'm trying to break free of my jailer. And I'm really looking for a safe, supportive community to start to do that amongst. If it's external, again, it's very similar. You're going to be thinking, okay, what are people going to think? I'm really nervous about what they think. So again, it's reaching out to people who you can trust. And it's saying, I'm on this journey. I'm breaking free of my external perfectionism. And so I'm looking for people to support me being seen. And it's about taking step by step by step. But as I said, that first key is self-awareness, to start to be aware where the perfectionism is coming from, a fear of what others think, or your own internal perfectionism. And then understanding that that is self-protection, it's a shield, and that the way to work through that is to start to step out from behind that shield. And if you're looking for a safe community, if you're looking for an environment in which you're going to be encouraged to grow, in which you are going to be seen for who you truly are, then you are going to love the community that I have set up on Facebook. It's a free community for writers, for creatives, for entrepreneurs, for people who are really interested in personal development. I'm live in the community every week. We do interviews, we do free classes. It's a really wonderful place to start to change those habits, to start to grow your confidence. So you'll see a link below. You'll be able to find out a little bit more about the community. You'll be able to sign up and you'll be able to join us. Like I said, it's totally free and it's a safe, committed community. I would love to see you there. So there we go, a couple of ways to start to understand the two main ways that perfectionism works and how you can start to break free of that if you're aware that perfectionism is really holding back your progress. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Take care of yourself this week and I will see you on the sofa next Monday.